Hey guys, Seethercord here, and welcome to my newest video for today. Today we got ourselves yet another storytime video. This time around, we'll be covering my and KhramChee's trip to New York City. Now to give a backstory exactly as to why we went to New York, the reason for it was because with KhramChee coming to visit me in the US, of the 3 weeks she was here, we took one whole weekend of that 3 weeks to go to New York City. The reason that we went was because her mom lives there, and we came by to see and we stayed at her apartment complex for that time that we were there. Now this was a really big deal for me because I had never really traveled that much by myself without the assistance of either my mom or dad before. I did drive from Mississippi to Louisiana earlier this year to go stay at my friend's house though to attend a convention. And I've also driven to multiple different parts of my state by myself. But other than that, no other real experience in that field. Now to the people who have never been to New York City and maybe want to go there yourself, my biggest form of advice is to save up money beforehand. Money! The reason that I say this is because the minimum wage in New York is way higher than most other US states. And also with so many entertainment center tourist attractions, it will cost you a lot of money just to get an average experience while there. I'd say save up at least $1,000 or so before you go. Let's get into the culture and lifestyle of New York. For starters, New York City is extremely populated with around 8.5 million people just in that one city. And with that, people are very diverse to where the many parts of the city are broken up into sections by different cultures. For example, there's the Spanish part of the city where people speak Spanish primarily. Hell, we stayed in the Spanish section of Queens and there was this store right below from where we stayed. Most of the items on the shelves were in Spanish. The signs on the walls were primarily Spanish. When I bought something at checkout, the worker at the cash register called me amigo. It was awesome. There was also the Chinese portion where people primarily spoke Chinese. Then there was the Jewish section where people were primarily Jewish. Another aspect of New York City that I need to cover is that everything is super duper fast paced. Everyone has something to be there for, and there are tons of things going on with hundreds upon hundreds of different stores and businesses from restaurants to Uber and taxi drivers. There is a lot of cutthroatedness, fast-paced action to it that you have to eventually get accustomed to if you really want to experience everything here. The next thing that I want to get to is the subway trains. The subway station is super intense, especially around the time of rush hour, which takes place primarily in the morning at 6 a.m. when people are heading into work, and at 5 p.m. as well when people are heading home from work. These subways are long and crowded most of the time. And a lot of the time you won't have anywhere to sit, so you'll have to stand up. There was one really unfortunate situation while we were in the subways where there were 2 available seats, one in the corner and one in between 2 other people. I let KhramChee have the one in the corner to herself, and I sat in the one in between 2 other people. The unfortunate thing is the 2 people who were sitting in the seats next to mine were people of very mass size, and when I sat down, I couldn't even fully put my back up to the end of the seat. I had to lean forward just so that way, I could just be able to sit because they were big. I can't put it any other way than that. The last majorly important thing about New York to mention is nighttime. The streets are still prevalent with people, and there are sometimes even full-on families with young children still walking the streets of New York at midnight or 1 a.m. or 2 o'clock in the morning. Hell, we went to McDonald's at around midnight on one of the nights we were there, and it was still packed at that time. Probably near 100 people still eating inside the restaurant at midnight. It's crazy. Now with everything in terms of a heads up covered, let's now move on to the few of the cool stories from my trip to New York City. For starters, we went and decided to go see the Beetlejuice show on Broadway. And it was just insane because of the fact that originally we were going to only have to pay, I think $50 for our tickets, 2 seats each, $50 each. But then I realized right before we bought the tickets is that we weren't even going to be able to fully see the whole show with those specific seats we were going to buy because they were cheap. And they told me that if you want to get seats where you can see the whole on show in its entirety, you'd have to pay at least $100 each. So I did end up paying $200 that night just to see the show, but still it was worth every single penny because watching it in person is a way more fulfilling experience rather than watching a movie or something. Another place that we went to was Central Park, and I must say one really bad aspect of New York City is its pollution problem. It's just nothing but trash everywhere all over the roads and streets. However, in Central Park, they fine you if you litter, so it was nice to see the grounds clearly and them being all green as well. Central Park had these big open fields where you sit down on either a patch of grass or a big piece of rock, and there was even enough open space for everyone. They also even had these giant boulder-like mountains that you could climb up, and I had so much fun doing that. Central Park also had this amusement park that I won't deny, the rides were more so built for little kids, but still they were fun to an extent. And I won KhramChee a wolf plushie at one of the carnival games, which is awesome! Another thing that we wanted to do in New York City was we wanted to go to the Nintendo store after we were done at Central Park, and we were planning to go do that as well as go to the Lego store. But the major mistake that we made is that we didn't know that the Nintendo store closed 2 hours earlier on Sunday rather than compared to every other day of the week. So instead of closing at 9, it closed at 7. And we didn't realize this until it was about, I think, like 6:50 or something, and we were still in Central Park. So we quickly ordered an Uber, rushed all the way there, and then we were on the streets basically running to get to the store before they closed. And I think we got to both of the stores at around 7:01, 7:02 or something. And there was this guy in this big, nice suit, and he was like, no, you can't get in. He just looked at me through the door, was like, nope, you can't come in. And it was very unfortunate because that happened for both of the stores, and they were trying to get people out. And it makes sense why they're doing that because it's crazy busy all the time. But still, I'm like, dang, man. Another really cool thing was the fact that we got to see the NBC Studios building. That was pretty cool to see as well. And being able to, see, the window where they host the Today Show where you can be in the background if you're by the window. That was pretty cool as well. Overall, New York City was definitely a challenge for both KhramChee and I in terms of adjusting to a major, big, bustling city from a small, low-populated one. And it also did cost me a lot of money. But still, going there was definitely the best weekend of my life, and I would not trade it for anything else. And that pretty much wraps up my video for today. How do you guys feel about New York City? Have you guys ever been? Have you guys ever not been? Have you guys considered going? Are you guys not really planning to ever go at all? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you enjoy my content and want to further help out my channel, please consider donating to me on Patreon as well as my coffee. Also, please consider hitting that like button, turning that notification bell, and subscribing altogether. I have been Seethrecord, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, everyone. Oh, God, that hurt, I bet. I got 25 points, no, 40 points at least. Breaking my back and crashing my skull open for 40 points, great.